December 24th, 2012, Monday. We have a firm fix on his location, Prism said to Arthur. Good, I'll let Omni know. He'll make a crater out of that spot and this will be over, Arthur said. Arthur trotted down the hallway toward the elevators. He activated his earpiece and called Omni. We have his home address. Meet me in the command center, Arthur said. Darkspeed, Virtuoso shouted as she knocked on the boy's stateroom. What? Darkspeed said with sleep still hanging on him. They found Vector. Arthur is about to brief Omni. Virtuoso didn't get a response. The door simply blinked open and she knew he was gone. Darkspeed used the stairs to get to the command center. He hated waiting for elevators. Darkspeed passed Arthur in the hallway and took position in the command center first. Omni was just coming through the doors on the other side of the large room. Darkspeed stood next to the center of the room and looked over what Miss Waldron was doing. Made it here first. Virtuoso is good, Darkspeed thought to himself. Darkspeed tried to bring his speed back down to normal, but being woke from a dead sleep and firing his power up to maximum made it hard to turn it down. He found himself in this situation before when his adrenaline was running. It was best just to walk around, calm down, and let his power turn itself off. Pacing back and forth, he shook his hands and shrugged his shoulders. He contemplated going to get breakfast before they could know he was there or gone. On the side of Miss Waldron's desk, he noticed she wasn't using the same type of rescue sheet she had earlier. Casually, he moved the papers sideways, like spreading out a deck of cards. Carefully, he controlled the friction near them to keep the paper from igniting. Oh no, he thought to himself as he read. Where is he? Omni asked. Remote desert location in northern Egypt, Arthur said. Give me the coordinates. I'll make this quick. You can't, Darkspeed said as he turned with papers in his hand. Why not? Arthur said. Did you read these this morning? Get off Australian time. It's evening here. And no, I've spent the last few hours in the lab. What do you have there? Omni asked. 13 boarding schools were hit last night. Darkspeed talked as he handed the paperwork to Omni. Including Ludgrove School in Berkshire, the International School of Geneva, a girls' finishing school in France, prep schools in Massachusetts. I can read. What's your point? The video surveillance on 3 of them showed villains surrounding the school and the students just disappearing. I'll bet Vector was involved, and I bet he has them with him. How many? Omni asked as Arthur took the paperwork from him. They guess about 1,500 in all, Darkspeed said. These schools? Arthur shook his head. Members of Parliament, Congress, billionaires, some of the most important people in the world had their children at these places. A human shield, Darkspeed said. Vector must have known we were close to finding his location. He knew I'd just take out the whole thing, Omni said. We can send the stealths in to secure the children, and then my team... Arthur tried to say. Oh, please, Darkspeed said in disgust. What's the problem? Arthur asked. Vector would kill all of your stealths and everyone you sent in there. There are only 2 people that have any chance against him. That's Omni and me. Is that so? It is, and I can prove it. Darkspeed walked over to Miss Waldron and asked, Do you have a Sharpie I can borrow? Sure, Miss Waldron said as she handed him a permanent marker. Defend yourself, Darkspeed said. Arthur took a combat stance and his hands glowed with red destructive energy. From his bio, Darkspeed knew he had some kind of disintegration blast, was tough, could fly, and other things that didn't matter to Darkspeed. Done, Darkspeed said as he put the cap back on the Sharpie. Alarms went off throughout the building. Arthur didn't know what just happened. Miss Waldron had to separate into all 7 of herselves to handle the emergency calls coming in. Tell them it was just a training lesson, Darkspeed said to Miss Waldron. What did you do? Arthur asked. Look in the mirror, Omni said. Omni gave Darkspeed a stern look. I didn't do it to you, Darkspeed said to Omni. Arthur looked into the reflective surface of the flat screen that was powered off. There he saw the bullseye drawn on his forehead. He started to rub it off. It only smudged. Cute trick, Arthur said. I did that to you and every other adult in this building, with the exception of Omni and Miss Waldron. Darkspeed paused for effect before finishing. It would have been quicker if I could just point a finger at someone and they'd be dead. Arthur didn't like what he was hearing, but he couldn't come up with an argument to make. Mr. McFarlane burst into the room with a bullseye on his forehead. What is going on? He said angrily. Young Darkspeed here is just showing us what Vector could do, Arthur said. I have 2 representatives from what is left of the British intelligence services. They have drawings on their foreheads. Is that who that was? Darkspeed said. There will be no more disrupting Mr. McFarlane's efforts on the HU's behalf. Is that clear? Omni ordered and asked at once. Yes, it's clear, Have Bioforce clean them up and meet us in the new break room. We need to think this one over. Darkspeed entered the break room at normal speed. He didn't want to bring any unwanted attention to himself. Omni and Arthur were seated at a table in the far corner. Omni had somehow found another clipboard that looked like the one he had as coach. Darkspeed took a seat next to them. Darkspeed thought Omni looked kind of silly. The most powerful superhero on the planet in his black and gold armor leaning over a table writing on a clipboard. When Omni finished, he folded up several pieces of paper and placed them on his clipboard. Omni opened by saying, "My word is law on this one. If either of you questions me or doesn't follow orders, I'll have you ejected from the HU." Omni turned over a piece of paper that said, "Security here has been compromised. Say nothing. We are going to use the satellites and telepaths to find out if in fact those children are in Vector's lair. Till then, we do nothing. If Vector does have them, he'll issue demands shortly. I want both of you to wait for my orders before doing anything. Is that clear?" "It's clear, Omni," Arthur said. "I got you, Coach," Darkspeed said. "Good." Omni pushed both of them a few pieces of folded papers. "Until we have a go, it's a waiting game." Arthur palmed the papers and slid them into his costume. On watching the London team's leader, Darkspeed did the same. "Now if you'll excuse me," Omni said as he stood, "I have to look over the reports the Bishamon Sentinels have submitted. Shogun is giving me a hard time for getting behind." "Sorry about the marker stunt," Darkspeed said. "Water under the bridge," Arthur said as he left the table. Darkspeed made his way back to the floor that his team was on. As he opened the door, he was met by all the teams in costume and ready to go. "Stand down, everyone. It looks like Vector has taken hostages. Until they know for sure, we wait," Darkspeed said. "Unless you're on rescue rotation, get more sleep if you can," Ranger said to everyone. "What's really going on?" Virtuoso thought to Darkspeed. "I'll let you know in a little bit," he thought back. Darkspeed went to the stateroom he was sharing with the other boys from his team. He made his way to the bathroom and pulled out the pieces of paper that Omni had given him. His eyes went wide as he read his instructions. The only thing to fear, Darkspeed thought to himself, is fear itself, Virtuoso thought to Darkspeed. "I'm in the bathroom. You're not using it. So this thing, are we going to do it? What kind of superheroes would we be to refuse? Second team too, right? Yeah, that should be enough. The less that know, the better. Let them know to be discreet, and then we'll meet in the boys' stateroom. What about air cover, like last time? Just Saber then. Wait, and get Shroud too. Why? It'll work into the plan, trust me." 14 alphas all sat on the beds in the boys' stateroom. Darkspeed had Virtuoso and She make sure no one was listening in. Once they were sure it was okay to talk, Darkspeed began with what he knew he had to do. "I know where Vector is, and I know where he's holding the hostages. I'm going after him, and I'm looking for volunteers," Darkspeed said bluntly. "Does Omni know about this?" Ranger asked. "This is not HU sanctioned. If we get in over our heads, we're on our own. I need each person to say if they're in or out." "In," Olympian said first. "In," Eclipse said right behind him. The rest of First Team said they were also in. Glimmer and Ranger were the next two to say they were in, followed by Ion and Wave. Caution was a little slower to volunteer, but did just the same. "What about you, Saber?" Darkspeed asked. "You have to ask? I didn't put on a costume not to go to the party. I'm in," Saber said. "If he's in, then I'm in," Shroud said. "Good. First thing we need to do is get out of here," Darkspeed continued. "Virtuoso, I'm going to need you to use your mind control on Miss Waldron." "Why?" Virtuoso asked. "We need to fake a few emergencies that we all get dispatched on. That way none of us will be seen as missing, just working." "Got it. Where do you want us dispatched?" "Somewhere without news crews. We have to seem like we're really out in the field." "Okay, fabricated disasters coming up," Virtuoso said as she started to concentrate hard. "What's wrong?" Bioforce asked. "It's hard doing all 7 of her at once." "Where are we really going?" Saber asked. "Cairo," Darkspeed said.